still use a to-do list? You write down on a legal pad or in your computer or phone your list of things to do, and at the end of the week you find that you don't really check many of those off. That's because you're not setting priorities for your to-do list. And the way you can do that is you can map out every half hour of your day. Now, this is not to replace your calendar, because everyone's got to use their calendar with their appointments, but what this does, it sets your priorities by allocating time to tasks that are priorities so you get them done. Now, I use the modern day version of the Franklin Covey planner. If you're old enough, you remember that. And what I do is I use a Google Sheets document, a schedule it's called, a template, and I literally map out everything that I do in any given day, including looking at emails and also time that I spend on social media, so I don't get lost in scrolling through. So here's a little bit about how it works. In Google Sheets, you just want to go to the lower right-hand side where you can create a new document. Instead of creating a new document, choose Template. And there's a whole host of templates in Google Sheets that you're probably familiar with. I use the Schedule template, and I pull that up, and you just pop in the date, and everything changes. You can see the dates all change. So let me walk you through this just a little bit, very quickly. Half an hour increments, and you can change that if you want it 15 or an hour, however you want. It's just like a little spreadsheet that you can just pop stuff into. It also has a notes and a to-do section here. So this is the place where you can map everything that you do in a day. And I just put like a mock one together, which I'll show you here. And here's a couple things that I do. I schedule time for email because I don't want to be scrolling through it all day. And I like to try to get my email down to 0. I schedule time to be on LinkedIn, and that's when I interact with my connections, build new connections, I read, I watch videos, I comment, and I go through my notifications during this time. I also have time where I post on LinkedIn, and I try to do post at different times every day, because there's a couple of key times that really work well for LinkedIn. I try to do that, and I map that out. I also map out time to work on a schedule for the next day. I do that every night before I close up shop. I, put together what am I going to work on the next day? What are my priorities? I take all my appointments from my Google Calendar. So these would be meetings, conference calls, things like of that nature that are scheduled, and I then add those into this spreadsheet, and then I go over. I look at everything that is a priority for me to do, and then I allocate time to do it. So I think that's the important thing, is that, let's say you're writing a blog post. So, you think it's going to take, write blog posts, or whatever it is that you're doing. But again, I think it's going to take me an hour. And then what happens is that sometimes when you get really off track because, obviously unexpected things happen, I go back to this sheet and okay, here's where I'm supposed to be. This is what I'm supposed to be doing. And I get back on track. So it really keeps you on track. Also, don't forget, be realistic about your day. If you're going to a meeting, schedule travel time. Don't schedule something for right after work. And so be very realistic. There are only so many hours in a day. And once you start doing this, after a while, you really notice that, you used to think you were going to get a lot more done than you actually are getting done. And you see why, because there's only so many hours that are available to you to get work done. So I want to hear from you. What do you use to keep yourself on track? Put them in the comment section below. I'm sure people would love to hear from you.